Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Gilda Hilaire, and I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Salesforce. Thanks again for joining us for AMPScript Part 2 featuring Jenna and Zuzana. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. We will try to address these during the presentation and at the end. And also, we will send the recording to the webinar and all the links to the documents mentioned during this presentation on Thursday. So be on the lookout for that email. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Zuzana.
All right. Hello, everyone. So first, we will quickly introduce ourselves. My name is Zuzana. I am a Salesforce Marketing Cloud developer and a solution architect. I am also a Salesforce MVP and a marketing champion. If you're interested in learning more about the technical aspects of working with Marketing Cloud, you can visit my blog at sfmarketing.cloud. I'm really excited to run this session today with Jenna, and I hope you will be able to learn something new.
And hi, everybody. My name is Jenna Matson. I am a senior Salesforce Marketing Cloud engineer at DEG Digital and the social admin at howtosfmc.com, where you can go and learn how to do things on the Marketing Cloud. So check out that website. I'm also a Salesforce Marketing Cloud champion and happy to answer any questions you guys might have after this session on the Email Geek Slack, along with Susanna. Okay, so we're going to get into it today. First off, we have a basic scenario that we have that our company has presented to us that we're going to build out for you guys today. And we are going to roll really fast through everything, so please bear with us. If we're not able to get to your questions, we will try to answer them, like Gilda said, on Thursday, and these recordings will come later on, so you can follow along with those recordings later on. So our company has a loyalty program that they want us to stand up an email and a coupon reward site for. And so there are 2 purchase categories, and when a certain threshold is met, it's 10 points. After they've purchased items out of category A and category B, or tier 1 and tier 2, subscribers are issued a coupon code on a landing page. So the email displays how many points they have left over if they haven't reached the points they need to reach that threshold yet. And if they have reached that threshold, they get a prompt to, or a button to a landing page that they will be able to collect their coupon code on. So
Okay, so this is the data setup. We have set up 2 data extensions. The first is a sendable data extension and holds all subscriber data, along with the number of points that each subscriber gathered for each reward tier. When they reach 10 points, they are eligible for a reward coupon. And for simplicity, we used email addresses as subscriber keys. But really, you should avoid doing that in real life. As I said, we're doing that today just for simplicity. If you look at the second data extension, it stores the coupon data. We have 2 different different coupon codes for 2 different reward tiers. And once a coupon is claimed, we change the is claimed value to true. We insert the subscriber key and the subscriber who claimed the coupon, along with the coupon expiry date.
Sorry, I was on mute. Before you start coding, it's important to get your code environment set up and get comfortable with whichever environment you choose to use. There are several text editors out there to use. Zuzana and myself each have a preference. My preference is Sublime Text, and there is an AMPScript highlighter package, which you can download in order to make the code more readable. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. To get going in my environment, I like to open up a couple of tabs in the Marketing Cloud to all the areas that I need to be in. I'm going to start by building out the email for you today. So you can see here I'm in the email content builder. We have a AMPScript basics template built out and a two content blocks built out for this template already. We'll talk about those in just a second. I also have a tab open to our 2 data extensions that Susanna just explained to us, and those data extensions are preloaded with the data that we specified. As you can see, the coupon codes are already in here, but none of the values have been claimed. And then I have a couple of reference guides for us open. The first one is Elliot Harper and Adam Spriggs's AMPScriptGuide.com. This is so that in case we have any questions about any functions, we can go and look at them. The second one is the AMPScript guide function reference on the Salesforce developer pages. I'm old school. I learned AMPScript before the book was available, so I tend to keep both of them open just because I go to both. Okay. Next, we're going to open up a text editor and get comfortable with the text editor. I already have the AMPScript basics template loaded here and the 2 static content blocks that we have created for this template loaded here so that I can reference them easily. And I have a blank screen open, which we'll start writing our email out in just a second here. Let's go back in here and take a look at what the environment is. So first off, like we said, we have the AMPScript template that's built out that looks exactly like this. We have a couple of blocks in that template designated for the content blocks that are predefined or static in that template. They are being called with a content block by key function and a content block by ID function. And we chose these 2 different functions to show you examples of different content block functions that you could call, use to call in your content into your emails or into your landing page. We recommend using content block by key or by ID rather than content block by name, because content block by name, it's easier to change the name of a content block than it is to change the key or an ID. A key can be changed as well. An ID cannot be changed. That's your most stable version. So I recommend using content block by ID when at all possible. You do have to enter the ID in as a string value, even though it appears to be numeric if you were to look in the properties pane here, and that's where you collect that ID from. Okay, so let's start building an email. So we're going to create an email message. And we're going to choose the template that we have preloaded. We're going to give it a name. If you want to give it a description, you can add a location. I'm going to add the CTA or the click-through attribute here. That we're going to add into our email message. This is an additional email attribute. You can have up to 99 of these in your email properties pane here. You do have to call Salesforce or in our support ticket to have them turned on. Do not recommend using 99. I only recommend using, like, say, 5 at the most. These are nice. These additional email attributes function just like a personalization string within your email, and they're nice to use in, say, the WAC, the Web Analytics connector, or in your code. Like in this case, we're going to use it for our CTAs. And we're just going to put the claim coupon. They're nice to use that way in case you have say a marketer or somebody else building out these emails for you and you don't want them to go into code. You can have them enter in information here and they don't have to touch your code or accidentally fat finger anything. We're going to hit next. As you can see in that template, we already have some predefined areas to enter in some to drag in some content blocks. Those 2 static content blocks are already defined for you. You don't need to define them here. We're going to start with an AMPScript initialization block, which is where we're going to do the bulk of our processing and bring in the information that we need in order to have the basic template function. So let's start with that. We're going to bring in a HTML block and just drag it in here, but we're actually not going to code inside of the code editor here. I am personally more comfortable inside of my Sublime text editor here. All right, so let's get our email started. First off, we're going to need to open our AMPScript with some block delimiters. And I like to go ahead and close mine and give myself some room to code. Flip it over to your AMPScript highlighter, however you need to do that, depending on your code editor. And always remember to start writing in some notes here, tell people what you're doing. I'm going to write in one as an example, but I'm not going to write comments as we go just to consolidate time. But always write in notes for anybody that needs to come in behind you. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to set a debugger, and we're going to talk a little bit about this later on, but we're just going to set an attribute so that we can toggle on and off a debug block that will allow us to quickly troubleshoot our email if we have run into any issues. So debug, and I'm going to set it equal to a Boolean value of 1, which turns it on. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in the elements needed in order to actually get any dynamic content into this email. And that would be, what do we need is the primary key for the subscriber set that we're going to be sending to. And in this instance, we're going to be sending to the subscriber data. So we're going to need the subscriber key. So I'm going to set an attribute called email equal to subscriber key, because email address equals subscriber key in this instance. And I'm actually going to set it in by calling it in using the sendable data extension. Square brackets denote a field from the sendable data extension. But what if that field isn't present? Say an email address is missing. Now, in this case, it's probably not going to be because it's a sendable data extension, but we're just going to pretend like it could possibly be. So we need to set a default value just in case email is blank, so that we can look up information based on an email address maybe, or an email address that is present for the subscriber and all subscribers, rather than in the sendable data extension here. So we're going to start a conditional statement here, and we're going to say if, and we're going to use the empty function, and we're going to see if that email address variable has anything in it. So we're going to say email. If email is empty, then always remember to write your then in your conditional statements. I forget that all the time. We're going to set that same email attribute equal to attribute value. And the attribute value is going to call the attribute from all subscribers. But in this case, I'm going to use the personalization scheme of email ADDR, which can be set into the attribute value as well. Either one is going to pull from all subscribers. I'm just showing you this as an example. And we have to close our conditional statement. So now we definitely have a value in email. The next thing we need to do is set our basic information for our email to function, and in this case, or basic information that our email needs so that it'll look good. In this case, we need a pre-header and a subject line, which you can see here. This is prompting us to give a subject line. So we're going to go back over here, and we are going to, grab the pre-header. We already have a variable set for that, or it's not set yet. We have a variable defined for it, so we're just going to copy it from there. Always copy paste when you can. So we're going to actually set that variable here. And the reason why we copy paste is because you can accidentally type something incorrectly. All right, and then we're going to give some pre-header text. This is a sample, and we need a subject line. So we're going to just define a variable there, and there we go, subject line. Very descriptive subject lines for our program today. And we're going to take this variable, since we have it now, and let's just go ahead and place it in here. And this is, we're going to use an inline delimiter to call in the subject line. And I use the V here, which is for value or variable lookup. Basically, that just looks up a variable that has been set somewhere within your email content or your landing page. And we're going to hit done. Now it's happy. We got a subject line in there. Okay, so now we've got subject line and pre-header. We've got the basic things that we need in order to build out this template. But now we need to put in the information that we need to pull back in order to get the subscriber their coupon, or show them the remaining points they have for each reward tier. So we're going to go over here and look at our data extension. and we're going to say, oh, okay, well, look, they have 2 reward tiers that they could possibly have. So let's pull back that information. So the first thing you need to do is actually look up the subscriber information based on a value within this data extension. We've already brought in the email address or the subscriber key. So we're going to use that value, and we are going to use a lookup rows function. So let's set an attribute or a variable equal to, I don't know, subdata. We're going to say rows because this is going to be our full array. And we're going to say lookup rows. Okay, I use this function all the time, so I don't need to use the reference guide for here, but I do recommend using it. I do recommend using it to check your arguments if you need to find out what parameters you need to enter in and what value and what data type they need to be. So we are going to say lookup rows are from our data extension. The first value is our data extension. I'm going to copy that value from there. So we have that. The next value is going to be the row we're going to look up against, which is the subscriber key. Copy paste from there. And then we're going to compare it to our email address. So if there's a match on whenever this function is activated, if it will look into this data extension, and if it finds the email address that we are sending to from the sendable data extension in this data extension in the subscriber key column, then it's going to do what we tell it to next. So what do we need to tell it to next? Well, let's count and make sure that we actually brought back data for this subscriber first. So let's do a row count function. Let's set at sub data count. You can set it to whatever you want to, and let's use row count. And we're going to just drop in the sub data rows array, and it will count how many rows it brought back for that subscriber. All right, so now we've counted the number of rows in that array, or the number of rows that subscriber has in that data extension. So now let's write a message if there's not anything found, right? Because if there's not anything found, we need to do something with that email, you know, it needs to go somewhere. So let's open a conditional. Let's say if at subdata rows or subdata count exactly equals is not what we need here exactly, because we need to just make sure it's less than 1 or less than 0. Or greater than, right? And let's actually use greater than. If it brings back data, then, and we're going to leave some space here to write what we're going to do if that brings back with data, and else if it doesn't bring back any data, we are going to raise an error. And there is a raise error function which will alert you if there's not any data if you're in a testing environment. But if it's in a send environment, you can actually use this function to skip over that bad record that no data is found. So let's tell it that, but let's give ourselves a message that's descriptive in our testing environment so that we know what data wasn't found. So we're going to concat, which is a concatenate function, which actually just will bring 2 values together in a single string. So let's say, and I've got some text already written out, so I'm just going to copy paste from this to save us some time. No data found. And we're going to say for this email address, which probably won't render anything, but that's okay, it's an example. And then we'll say true to skip over that value in the email if it doesn't have, or skip over that record if it doesn't find an email address, a bad email address. And then we're going to close our conditional with an end if. Okay, now let's go back in here and tell the email what to do, or or how to process the data if it finds a subscriber match in that data extension. All right, and notice my spacing there. This is for my readability, and for anybody that comes behind me's readability, they need to be able to easily read this. It's not for the computers to digest, it's for us. So next thing we need to do is take into consideration what will need to be displayed for each subscriber if we find points for them, or if we find data in reward tier 1 or reward tier 2, but we need to actually find that data first. So let's pull back the row of data for that subscriber that we just found first. So we're going to set at subdata row, and notice I'm using a singular rather than the plural that was used above because we're just bringing back a single row. Set subdata row equal to, and we're going to use the row function, and we're going to drop in that lookup rows, and we're going to tell it which row to bring back if it finds a match, and we want to bring back the first row in this instance. And then we need to bring back each individual field from that row. So we're going to set, and I like to make these very descriptive by using the actual names of the rows to identify or names of the fields that we're bringing back to identify the variable. So we're going to set that equal to field. We're going to use the field function, which brings back a field from that row, and we're going to tell it which row to look into, subdata row. And we're going to say bring back this attribute. And there are 2 of them that we're trying to bring back, so we're just going to copy paste that whole thing, paste it in here, and there are keyboard shortcuts that you can use. Look them up on your own time. And we now have brought back data for that subscriber, and if they have data in either of these 2 tiers, then we brought back that data in here. Now we need to decide what to do with this data that we've retrieved, right? So we're going to stay inside of that conditional statement that we've already opened, and we are going to look at the 3 conditions, which they could bring back no points, they could bring back points that aren't equal to 10, or they could bring back 10 points, which is our threshold, right? So let's look at no points first. So let's do another empty function here, and let's see if they brought back anything let's look at reward tier 1 first, and let's see if they brought back anything at all for reward tier 1. So let's say if empty, and we'll say reward tier 1, and don't forget your then, and then we'll say what are we gonna do? We're gonna set the display prompt up here, because remember, we're still in our init block. We're not actually in the body of the email yet. So let's just set a flag. So let's call it display prompt. And it's for tier 1, so we need to make sure we specify for which tier. So display tier 1. And oops, I forgot to set. That would have caused an error. All right. And we're just going to say this is empty, right? So very descriptive. All right. Then we're going to say else if. And we're going to say what was the next condition? They're not quite to 10, but they've got points in there. So we're going to say else if reward tier 1, let's say less than or equal to 9, because we've already we know they have something in there. We've gotten past this condition here. So we're going to say less than or equal to 9. I'm going to put a numeric digit in there, and you can see it's a number here, so that will analyze correctly. So we're bringing back a number. It's going to compare to a number, so we won't have a problem there. All right, so then we need to set that the same display prompt, or reset it. And we're going to set it equal to remainder, because you've got points left. And then we need our final condition, which is display the email or display the coupon. And so we are going to say else, and just let the conditional of conditions kind of waterfall down or trickle or cascade down. We're checking to see if it's empty. We now know it's not empty. We know that it has more than 10 or more than 9 points. So there's only an else. We don't need to analyze and look to see if there's 10 points or not. So all we need to do here is set the default values that we'll need to drive to get that coupon code over to the landing page. So, but first off, we need to say, hey, you've got a coupon. So we're going to set that display prompt again, or reset it. and we're going to say coupon this time. So we know we've got our flag for our body copy. And we need to pass over a value so that the landing page will recognize if there is a coupon present. So we are going to tell it what tier we have, and I'm going to look at the other data extension to make sure of my copy here, because we have tiers defined already. And I want to make sure I pass over a value that can be picked up by the landing page. So I'm going to grab this tier here, or this value here, and I'm going to say tier. And I've had some conversations with Susanna ahead of time, and she's the one that's developing the landing page. So I know she's going to be looking for this value here. We've defined that together. It's smart to collab with if you're working with a team. And we're going to just use this tier, reward tier 1, to pass over this value to her, so that the landing page will recognize what coupon to display for this subscriber, which reward category they have points for. And then we're going to close our end if. We have 2 reward tiers though, so we're going to just grab this, we're going to copy it, give some space, we're going to space it down because we're going to do the exact same thing for tier 2. Remember to use your shortcuts when you can. And we're going to drop in 2, just make sure everything looks good here. All right, so now we have our init block. I think that's everything that we need for in order to get the data into this email to get these subscribers their coupon codes. So we're going to take this whole thing, copy it, and we're going to drop it into this block that we defined earlier. I'm going to hit done editing. And then you save this block. Save. And open, let's open, oops. I accidentally pasted in. Okay, we're going to open a new screen or a new window here, and we're going to start our body copy now. So now we've got all the data brought into the email, but we're not actually displaying anything. So we got to get something displayed here. So we are going to drop another HTML block in there, and then go back over in here and open up a block editor again. And the reason I'm opening up a block here is because, or a block instead of doing inline, is because we want to write some conditionals to analyze the data that we have already brought in to, because what we want to do now is we want to look for these flags. And if it makes it easier, you can space everything out how you feel comfortable. All right, so the first thing we're going to need to do is look for this prompt if empty, right? Or we need to find out if they have anything in this reward tier, because we're going to display both tiers in this email. So we're going to say if, and we're going to say display prompt 1, because we're looking for this flag to see if it's doing anything. And we're going to say, we're going to show the coupon first in this case, because that's the most important thing, is trying to get people to click through to get their coupons, right? So I'm going to look for the coupon value, and notice how I'm copy pasting. And I'm going to turn on my highlighter here. Okay, but yeah, and then we're going to put then, and I'm just going to leave it like that, and then we're going to put in some actual display content. So that's going to be needed to be in HTML. So we're going to open up some HTML tags. But before we do, remember that debugger that we had in here? This is where that comes in handy. We wanted to, if they had a coupon, we wanted to make sure that there was something in this tier value being displayed. So let's go ahead and open up another block delimiter. And the reason I'm just opening up a second one is for pure readability. You can actually do them in the same blocks. But let's say if debug, oops, this is why you copy paste. If debug, at debug, That's why you copy paste, because you forget things. If at debug exactly equals 1 this time, we're going to use that exactly equals. Then let's actually, we want to display that tier, so let's come out of there, and then let's add some space below the pre-header, some break tags, and let's put an identifier tier, and then let's use our inline delimiters and just bring in that variable itself, that value that we've set, and equals. And close it out. And now let's close out our debugger in this one, on the tier 1 block with an end if. Okay, so now we have this, and I'm going to add some spacing there for myself. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and close out the top one just in case so that we don't forget it. Give myself some space there. All right, so now the next thing we need to do is actually display what to do if that coupon flag is present. So in our basic template, I see that the table tags were already defined for us before we went into the body content. So I don't even need a table unless I really want to, unless I have something fancy to do with the styling. So in this case, I just need some table rows and some table data tags and a couple of break tags to make things pretty, and some text to define what they're going to be looking at. And I've actually already got that written out over here, so I'm just going to copy paste from that really quick. All right, so as you can see, we say, oh, you've earned a coupon for tier 1, and we're going to then, and some break spaces, and then we're going to actually bring in that CTA. So let's open up an anchor tag, an href, and in this href, since we're going to a cloud page, let's actually use the cloud page URL function, and it's cloud pages. And this will allow us to look at a cloud page that Zuzana will define in just a few minutes here, but we don't know the ID for that cloud page yet, so we're just going to leave some space for it. And then we're going to say, okay, well, in order for the coupon to function, like I said, we had that conversation earlier, we know we're going to need to pass over the tier to the cloud page, so we're going to need to tack that on as an additional parameter on this cloud page URL function. So we've already defined it as tier, but she and I had that conversation, and she is going to be looking for the word tier as a parameter value, and we're going to pass her over the tier as we've talked about here, so that she can pick it up, so that she knows which coupon to display for that subscriber when they hit the cloud page. And don't forget to close your inline string. And now we have an anchor tag for our CTA, and we predefined words for the CTA. So if we go back into the properties pane, we can just pick up this personalization string. And personalization strings, remember, are defined without an equals mark, just with the 2 percentages. And since this is a personalization string, it's going to bring in claim row or claim coupon for this as a replacement for this personalization string. Okay. And we just need to close everything out now. Oops. All right, so we've got what to do if the display prompt equals coupon. Now, what do we do if the display prompt is one of the other ones and equals, oh, I shouldn't have moved that over. There it is. And equals remainder or empty. So let's look at remainder first, because I reversed the order here. Let's keep going with that. And we're going to open up another square bracket delimiter for a block, AMPScript block. And as you can see, I just grabbed this. I'm going to stick the word else in front of the else if. And display prompt. In this case, we're going to go remainder. If it exactly equals remainder, we're going to say then. What are we going to do then? Well, we know we're going to try to give them some words, right? And tell them, let's tell them how many points they have left to get to the coupon. So I've got some words predefined over here. Oops. And slap that in there. Okay, so we're going to say you have to collect how many points before you get to the next tier. So we're going to need to do a subtract function for that. And we're going to say equals subtract. And the subtract function just literally analyzes the difference between two values. We know that the threshold is 10, so I'm going to put that in as the first value, and the value we're trying to subtract is the tier, or the number of points that they had in their tier value that came over in the original reward tier. And the points value there. Okay, so we're going to bring that in because we defined that in our init block, which is here. And we have to close out that subtract function. And that should display the number of points they have left in that tier, if I did that right. We'll see in a few minutes here. And let's tell them that they have more points to get some more text here to make that a little bit more clear on the display in the email. All right, as you can see, I closed that out. And then we have, what are we going to tell them if they don't have anything? Well, let's tell them that they could earn points for this, right? So we just need an else to add the last cascading value here. And like I said, I already have some words typed out, so I'm going to just drop this in here. Copy, paste. All right, so now you've got everything for display prompt 1. Display prompt 2 is easy to address. We're just going to copy this whole thing because there are 2 prompts here. And we're going to go, and my little shortcut isn't going to work here because I've got, it'll work a little bit. We'll play a little bit around here. Oops. Ooh. Sorry about fat fingers. I just pressed a random button on the keyboard and did that. So that we have, we want to tell them tier 2 here. Nope, that's not going to work. So let's just go through and look at these. Tier 2. Remember, we're telling them tier 2 here, and we have to tell them tier 2 if they don't have any points. You don't have any reported points for tier 2. Okay, so now we have our entire copy block for our email. So we're going to go back over here. Next, we've already got that HTML block in here. Paste it in. Done editing. Next, and we're going to test it against our. Oh, look, I forgot it then. Excuse me. And that's in our body copy. Now, I did not mean to do that. It's kind of funny that you guys are going to see me troubleshoot this. But you can see there, it's telling me I forgot it then after I told you guys not to. So let's see where that is. It says it's in our else if reward 2. That's not it. Where did I forget that then? It's in our other block. Right there. Then, and then, all right. I'll move this back over here so we have everything back together. Copy, and we're going to close this, and we're going to hit back. And that was in our init block, so I'm going to click into that. I'm going to copy all. I'm going to backspace to delete everything. Do not try to copy over that. You will accidentally put in 2 or 3 or put it in the wrong place. Believe me, I've done it 100 times. Okay, so we have another error. Oh, okay. That's because we don't have our cloud page URL yet. Susanna.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So we will turn the
Yes. So now I will take over, and I will quickly create the cloud page so that Jenna can insert the cloud page ID into her cloud pages URL function and test this properly. So I will now start sharing my screen. Can you see my editor?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I like working with Visual Studio Code because I often also use other programming languages, and it's very easy to switch between different projects. On top of that, the AMPScript plugin for VS Code is really amazing and makes coding really fast, which I will show you in a second. So here I have the coupons data extension just to be able to see all the fields that we have in the data extension. And I will now start coding. So I have already created an empty file with an AMP extension, and that way VS Code will know that I am using AMPScript. So let's start by opening a code block. You will see that it will add the code block closing for me, so I don't really need to think about this. So now we will start by retrieving the values passed from the email so that we can identify the subscriber visiting our cloud page and the coupon tier that they wish to claim. So I will type set subscriber key. And just like Jenna, I will use the attribute value function to retrieve the subscriber key from the personalization string. You see that it's giving me a little tooltip which I can choose the function I want to use. And when I hit the tab button, it will finish the function for me, and it will show me what I need to put inside as a parameter. So I will put the personalization string. Subscriber key. And as you saw earlier, Jenna used the Cloud Pages URL function to link from the email to the landing page. And by using that function, we are automatically passing all the personalization strings related to the email being sent. So now the second parameter that I need is the tier. So I will set a tier. And in order to retrieve the tier, which was passed as a parameter, I will use the query parameter function, which retrieves a value from a URL query string. So I will start typing query. It's giving me a tip, and now I need to put in the name of that parameter, which was here. So now, once I retrieve those two values from the URL, I would need to check if they actually were passed correctly. So I will use a conditional statement for that. So let's start typing if not empty, and I want to check the subscriber key. Sorry, and not empty tier. And I'll close it off now. Then this is where we will pull our coupon code and display it on the landing page for the subscriber. But before we do that, I want to finish my conditional statement. So I will put else. So what should happen if those parameters are not retrieved correctly? I want to display some kind of a message just to know for myself when I'm debugging what happened. So I will put in missing parameters. And I will close the conditional by using the endif tag. Okay, so this is it. So we are retrieving parameters. We are checking if they are not empty. We will retrieve the coupon here in a second. And if they are empty, we are displaying a message which says missing parameters. So now how to retrieve the coupon. So to grab a coupon code, we will use the lookup function. There is another function called claim row, often used for coupons, but we're not going to discuss it in this class, and instead we will use a simple lookup. So I will now set a coupon variable, coupon code equals, and I will use the lookup function. I will hit tab, and now you see that it's showing you that you need to put in at least 4 different strings. So the first one is the name of the data extension that you want to retrieve this value from. So in our case, it's called coupons. The second field in the lookup is the field that you want to return from the data extension if there is a match. So I will put in coupon code here. And you can see those values here. The next one is I need to define how I want to match the correct row in this data extension. So I want to match it by 2 parameters. First of them is claimed. And I want to select a coupon which has not yet been claimed. So I will put false here. And the second parameter is the coupon tier. So I will put in coupon tier, and it needs to match the tier passed from the email. So now when I retrieve the code, I want to set an expiry date. So I will create a new variable. It will be called coupon expiry. And I will use the dateAdd function to set an expiry date, which will be a month from now. So here is the dateAdd. You see that I need to provide 3 different parameters for that function. So basically what the dateAdd function does, it returns a date with the specific number interval added to the specified part of the date. So the starting date for this function will be today. So I will just use the now function to get the system time and date of when the subscriber visits our cloud page. And I will put in here 1 and the letter M for months. So basically this will show a date which is 1 month from now. And once I have the coupon code and the expiry date, I want to update this information back to the coupon data extensions. So I will use the update data function for that. The update data function is a specific function that can only be used on cloud pages. So you have different data extension functions, and the ones which have data in the name are specifically used on landing pages, while the ones that have DE in their name are used in email. So update data, insert data etc. is for landing pages, and update DE, insert DE, etc. is specifically used just in emails. So we want to update the coupons data extension. So this is the first parameter. Now the second numeric parameter in the update data function is the number of column and value pairs used for matching the row to update. So basically I will put 1 here, and here I need to now define how I will match the row that I want to update. So I will do this by searching for the coupon that I just claimed. So I will put in coupon code, sorry, and here I will use the coupon code variable. Next, I need to define which fields in this data extension need to be updated. So first of all, I want to update the isClaimed value to true. Then I want to update the subscriber key with the subscriber key of the person who claimed the code. So I will use our subscriber key variable. And the last parameter I want to update here is the coupon expiry date. And again, I will use the coupon expiry variable. So this is the basic functionality to pull the coupon code, to set the expiry date, and to update that data back in the coupons data extension. Now I will close the AMPScript block here, and I will display this data for the subscriber who visits the page. So I will say coupon code, and we will use inline AMPScript and the v function to display the value of the coupon code. So at coupon code, I will use line break here and coupon expiry date. And again, I will use inline AMPScript and v function to display the expiry date variable. Coupon expiry. And now for this else here, I need to open up an AMPScript block again. And just to make it look nicer, I will do it like this. So this is the basic functionality. So whenever someone visits that page from the link in the email, we will find a coupon. We will find a new coupon which hasn't been yet claimed and matches the tier. We will update the data in the data extension by marking which subscriber claimed the coupon, and we will show the coupon information on the cloud page. Now, since this code will be executed each time someone visits the cloud page, it would be possible that the same person clicks on the link from the email multiple times, and each time they get a brand new coupon code. So we need to add one more thing to this script just to make sure that they only get one coupon and they don't claim multiple coupons. So we will add one more conditional statement here. So once we check if the subscriber key and tier were passed correctly, we will set a new variable, and we will call this variable check claim. And again, we will use a lookup function to look up from the coupons data extension. If a match is found, we want to retrieve the coupon code. And what we want to, how do we want to match the row in that data extension? We want to find a row with a matching subscriber key. So we need to pass the subscriber key here. And also we want to make sure that we are looking at the correct tier. So again, coupon tier, and it needs to match our tier value. Now that we are checking this, we need to add one more conditional. So if empty check coupon, then, so if the coupon hasn't been claimed, so if the value returned by the lookup is empty, then we want to execute all of this code and display the coupon for the subscriber. But if they already claimed the coupon, we want to display a message saying you have already claimed your coupon. And we want to display the coupon code, again using the v function. And this time the coupon code will be in this variable check claim. So I will just copy and paste it here. And I will close up our conditional statement by adding the endif. So now just to add some indentation here, this is where our first conditional statement begins, and this is where it ends. So I'll just add some indentation here. And this is where our second conditional statement begins, and this is where it ends. So I'll add additional indentation here. As Jenna said, this AMPScript doesn't care if you write this in multiple lines or if you just write it in one line. This is just for you and for some added readability. And now you will see that I do this always at the end. I will declare my variables. So I have the subscriber key, I have the tier, I have my check claim variable, I have my coupon code variable, and I have the coupon expiry, coupon expiry date. So this is it. Now, once this is ready, I will just copy the whole thing and I will paste it into a cloud page. So I'm not doing anything special here in this cloud page. I will just open a blank page, use the HTML block, paste my code here, and publish the page. This is a good sign that we're seeing this message missing parameters. This is what's supposed to be here. So right now we don't know for which subscriber the code should be resolved. So only after we redirect to this cloud page from the email, we will be able to actually see the coupon code. So I will publish that page, and now I will quickly give Jenna the ID of my cloud page. So you can check the ID of your cloud page by looking into properties, and the page ID is 30305. So Jenna, now I will hand over back to you so that you can quickly include this ID in your email and we can check if it worked.
Okay, sorry about the dirty desktop that you guys are seeing. If you are, which monitor are you seeing?
The correct one.
Okay, thank you. Scared you guys were seeing my actual desktop, which is not a pretty place. Okay, so can you read that your ID over to me again? We're going to place it
Of
into the
course.
Cloud Pages URL.
It's 30305.
And this does have to be a string value, even though it's a numeric. It looks like a numeric value in the system. We're going to place it into both areas here, and we're going to copy our entire content block over again. I'm going to go back. We're going to get rid of that error message. We're going to copy all, backspace, paste it in, hit done editing, hit next, and we're going to find a subscriber while that's working in our sendable data extension, and we had 3 loaded up in here. Susanna, myself, and Gilda. All right. We have one little problem. Our points aren't coming through, and unfortunately, we don't have time to troubleshoot that today, but maybe on our next call, we're going to do an advanced AMPScript course at the end of the month. Maybe we can get that resolved for you guys or show you guys how to troubleshoot that. But as you can see here, we have our pre-header text that came through. We have, for Susanna, you do not have any points in your reward 1 tier, and we see in reward 2 tier here you have your claim coupon. If we click that button, we can see that a coupon code was grabbed and passed over to the subscriber on the landing page. And if we go into the coupons data extension, we can see that Susanna's coupon has been claimed, and this coupon code will match the coupon code on the landing page that she created.
Yeah, and maybe you can click one more time on the link to see what happens if you if you click for the second time on the So you see this is the message, you have already claimed your coupon.
Yeah. And if you want to see the dynamic content in action, remember you do have to test against a data extension in order to see, as Susanna mentioned in our first session, you do have to test against an actual data extension with the data loaded in it to actually see the data resulting on in your email or have this functionality working. Gilda here has 10 points in her first tier, so she's got a coupon for her first tier, and you can see there her coupon code, and once again it has that same functionality regardless if it's in tier 1 or tier 2. And if we go back into it a third time, you're going to see that same message repeated. And then myself, I've got some points that are coming through. That's our debugger that's turned on that shows us that there are reward tier 2 points available for a coupon. And you can see that I am passing through, I am passing through 3 more points. Okay, never mind. That is functioning as it's supposed to. Sorry, guys, I thought it wasn't. We don't have to troubleshoot that on our next one. So you can see I have 3 more points to get to 10 for that first one. And yeah, I've got a coupon for the second one. All right. But that's all we have for you guys today.
I think we will take a couple of questions. So Gilda, can you let us know if there are any questions? I think you might be on mute. Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, we have a couple of questions. Someone wants to know, can you explain the debug that you use?
All right, so the debugger toggle that I used, if I can flip over to it, as you can see, we set it in the init block. It's turned on here, and when it's turned on, I have it set to bring in the tier. As you can see here that they have a coupon for, and that's just to bring in the tier that they have a coupon for, that so you can see that data resulting on the screen, because we don't know exactly which tier they have a coupon for without it if we weren't to see this information over here. So that's what I'm using the debugger for. If there was an error, if it wasn't pulling in the right tier, then I would see it here and we could correct the issue. Unfortunately, I didn't write an error into this for you to actually see, but I can show you the how to toggle that on and off. If we go into that content block and we literally just turn it off, 0 is off or closed. Hit done editing. Next. Okay, well, there we go. If the marketing cloud will move for me. And we can see that that's not going to be on anymore. That tier has disappeared above our coupon code. We just see that there is a coupon code available. So that whole little block right here that we had inserted in the debug function is no longer there. So it's basically used to troubleshoot.
Perfect, thank you. And the name of the editor again?
This is Sublime Text, and I'm using an AMPScript package. It's a AMPScript highlighter. That is, I've got a slide, in our slide over here, we have listed out the editors we're each using, and there's a link to each of those. Susanna, you want to talk about yours? Because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, mine is Visual Studio Code. You can use it for practically all programming languages. And as Jenna said, we will send that over to you, and you will have the links to download both editors and the AMPScript highlighting packages that we used in today's demo session.
Perfect. I'll just take up maybe 3 more questions, because there are some people who submitted some questions early, and I thought they were really good. If Kristen Caldwell still on the call, she had asked a question about, when integrated with Sales Cloud, what should be used as the subscriber key?
Yes, so when you're integrated with Sales or Service Cloud, it's always best to use the contact ID or the lead ID as your subscriber key. So I mean the Salesforce ID of the contact or on the lead.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And the other question that we have is, what is the advantage of using attribute value functions?
So, and Susanna, pipe up here if I describe this incorrectly. Attribute value will bring back a value of an attribute that's defined somewhere in your code. And if the attribute hasn't been previously defined in your code, if it's the same as a attribute value on your all subscribers table, it will look into your all subscribers data set and pull back that attribute value. So say like first name, for instance, if it's first name in all subs, if this value is the same in all subs as it is here, and or actually I'm going to describe that wrong. If you go into all subs, and I don't know if we have first name in here. I don't think we do. But if you had first name in here, like if you had first name in here and you used the exact same, if it was written in the exact same format, and you set a value to first name, and that attribute was not present in that variable that you set, then it will pull from all subs or the sendable data extension.
Yeah, there's one more benefit. So as Jenna said, you can use it to pull attributes from profile attributes, from data extensions, from personalization strings, and it will return a null if the attribute is not available in the data source. So if you define a first name as an attribute value first name, and the first name, whether it's in a data extension or profile attribute, is not there, it will just display a null value. It will not throw an error. So if you do hello first name and the first name is not found and you're using the attribute value, it will just say hello and nothing will follow. But if you define this value just by pulling it straight from the data extension, so by using the square brackets and let's say first name, and if this value was not found, then you would basically see an error. Yes, this is how you pull from a data extension. And if you don't use the attribute value function and try to display the subscriber key, which is not there, it will throw an error.
So it'll
Perfect.
evaluate for null, which is nice. It's handy to use.
We'll just take one more. This is a really good one. The only reason I want to take this one is because we had a session on server-side JavaScript. And then after this last one, we will end the webinar, and we really thank everyone for attending and staying with us a little bit longer. Can we use server-side JavaScript instead of AMPScript? Will it have all the functionalities of AMPScript by replacing AMPScript?
So the short and simple answer is no.
Yeah.
I mean, it will have many of the functions are really similar, but it really depends on the use case and what you want to use it for. So when it comes to pulling data, working with data, then yes, you can use SSJS, but AMPScript is really the best thing that you can use for dynamic personalized content. So
in the Marketing Cloud, because it was built for the Marketing Cloud. Yeah, so it's more performant than SSJS.
So I would say that it all depends on the use case.
Yeah, and so like if you had like a triggered send, and you had a JSON payload that was coming in to your email, and you needed to parse that JSON payload in the email, then you would need to break out of your AMPScript and parse it with SSJS. That's honestly the only use case I would use SSJS over AMPScript in an email, specifically in an email. I don't know about what your opinion is there, Susanna.
Yeah, well, in an email, for personalizing an email, I would always use AMPScript. I would use SSJS only on cloud pages for some data manipulation, and also for parsing JSON, because this is something that you basically cannot do with AMPScript.
There is a parse XML function with AMPScript, so it's easy to parse XML with AMPScript if you're getting XML payloads rather than JSON. But we will talk about that in our next class.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. That was excellent. And thanks again, everyone, for joining. We appreciate you being here. We will send the recording along with all the links that was presented to us during the webinar. And last but not least, we are going to have an AMPScript Part 3 session at the end of July. And what we will do is we will send the invitation to everyone that attended today's session and to everyone that wasn't able to attend. But most importantly, please feel free to continue to follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. Those are the two places where we will continue to communicate with you about all of these upcoming webinars that we will be doing. And thanks again to Susanna and Jenna. That was an awesome session. We hope you guys were just as amped as we are about AMPScript. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.